Welcome, Spartans, to the June Podcast Evolve Book Club. I am your host, Aaron, and with me today is Krysta.
Hello.
And David.
Hello, everybody.
And this month, in case you forgot, because this has been a little while in the making, we're talking about Escalation Volume 3. This is, 3 months overdue now?
I blame myself.
I think so, yeah. It's all your fault, David.
Well, we blame everyone equally. It just happens.
It's everyone's fault.
Okay, it's also Krista's fault, so.
We're kind of terrible at this, but at least we're making up for it. We're getting there eventually.
We'll get them all out.
So, like I said, this is Volume 3, and in case you're keeping up with the individual issues, it's issues 13 to 18, isn't that right?
Correct,
Yes.
sir.
And as Volume 3, it was released on the 22nd of September 2015.
Oh, so we're almost, to the year.
We are, but we're later than that again, because as individual issues, they were way before that.
That's true.
Yeah. So you can get these as digital and paperback, and you can get single issues, and they're also going to be a part of the Library Edition Volume 2, and that's out in February next year, just in case you're thinking of picking that up as well.
What's the library edition?
It's 2 volumes of all the comics together. I picked up the Volume 1 that came out this year, and it's the 4 issues of Initiation, plus the first 12 issues of Escalation as well.
Oh, that's not confusing at all.
Yeah, and there's a few extra bits in it, I think, as well. Some, behind the scenes stuff and things like that. I actually haven't even opened it yet. I just bought it and it's sitting there looking at me.
It just looks nice on a shelf.
You've read them all before, so there's no real kind of
But
rush.
I'm kind of developing a problem where I just have to have the books. As soon as they tell me there is
Oh,
one,
I know, it's the same.
I nearly bought the volumes, and then I saw this was coming out and was just like, nope, I'll have this instead.
See, I just bought the individual volumes.
Well, I have the individual volumes too. I
bought them digitally, so I never bothered to buy them physically.
I'm the same, because to wait for anything Halo related to come to the UK seems to be about a month. So I thought I'd just pick them up digitally, but I do like to have books if I can.
Yeah, are you excited for Halo Mythos in 2 days?
Stop trolling us, Chris. It's not cool.
Also, don't forget, this is supposed to be June.
Oh, are you ready for Halo Mythos in 3 months?
Oh, you're the worst. So this was out in September. It's 144 pages, I think, total of all the issues, and it breaks down into 2 story arcs, issues 13 to 16, because I can't math in my head, are called the Janus Key, and then issues 17 and 18 are all about Tanaka, and they're called the Glass Horizon.
Ooh.
We'll start off with the first one then, the Janus Key, those 4 issues.
Did you have any issues with them?
I have quite a few. All these issues revolve around they're kind of picking up with, if you remember back to the end of Spartan Ops, Halsey got one half of the Janus Key and lost her arm, and Palmer got the other half. And this is sort of picking up where that left off. Halsey and Jewel are trying to acquire the other half of the Janus Key, and whilst they're plotting that, Palmer's having a bit of a freak out because she didn't kill
Halsey.
She didn't kill Halsey. I think in this issue she kills doesn't she kill a banshee with a warthog?
Something like that.
She kills a phantom with a warthog. She drives over the top of it and crashes one into the other or something.
Yeah, she's having a little bit of a midlife crisis where she's just going mad. And
she's taking lots of risks. A lot of this issue is Palmer doing stupid things she should know better than to do, and then fucking up.
And then getting mad at herself. And then Lasky's like, "Aw, it's okay."
That's because Lasky fancies her.
He does. He fancies her a lot. Even though she's 10 feet tall.
Yeah, I think there's something going on there. The setup for this issue is the Infinity is heading to... I don't actually think it's important where they're going, but they drop out of slip space at this weird, funky, sort of foamy planet.
But it's like an emergency dropout, isn't it?
Yeah,
they can't get it.
They drop out without them doing anything, and then when they try to get back into slip space, they drop out again in the same system. So they figure out with Glassman that they're stuck in this kind of slip space bubble, and they're not sure why they can't escape, but they pick up a signal coming from the foamy planet. So they send Palmer and a few Spartans down to investigate it, and they find a piece of Forerunner tech that has a conveniently shaped slot exactly the same shape as their half of the Janus Key.
How convenient.
I know, so Palmer gets Glassman and the Janus Key half and takes him down to the planet to investigate it and try and switch it off.
They don't. And they mentioned, they're like, we're not taking this back onto the ship because last time that didn't go so
Yes,
well.
the last time they took a block onto the ship, it almost vaporized it. So they do that, and then in the next part of the issue, they reveal that it's all the setup by Jewel and Halsey.
And Halsey to get the Janus Key.
Yeah, they've manufactured this piece of tech, and Halsey's using her knowledge of the Infinity's engines to override them, so keeping them in the system. And they also reveal that on this weird foamy planet, Jewel is hiding all of his ships under the foam where the Infinity can't detect them for some reason.
They don't have foam sensors. No! Why didn't we get that upgrade?
I don't know what happened that they didn't get that upgrade, but I think on the way down to the planet with Glassman and I think the Key's on its way down to the planet, and then some of Jewel's guys shoot early.
Yeah.
It's terrible when people shoot early and reveal themselves.
But isn't it like there's like a kind of a little mini civil war going on within Jewel's kind of...
It turns out later in this arc that some of Jewel's guys are turning on him because they no longer believe he's the true hand of the Prophet. Well, I think it's more of a power move by one of the other people.
It is. You believe he's like... You man is not the Didact's hand. He's like whatever he is. He's fake.
This kicks off, and that starts a little bit of a fight for trying to acquire the Janus Key.
So once again, a Pelican crashes.
Again.
And is shot down.
Pelicans are always crashing.
Yeah, Pelicans crash and shoot down all the time. They must have the worst safety record of all time.
Yeah, I feel really bad. I love the Pelican, but they suck. And it's like they're constantly getting shot down.
I can't say I'm the biggest fan of the new Pelican.
The like more suited up Pelican or whatever. It's got like a spacey look to it.
It has that kind of roundy bulbous nose. I'm not a big fan of it.
You don't like bulbous noses?
Oh, I know what you mean. It's more stub nosed now than it was previously. I know what you mean, yeah. I preferred it the old way.
I'm not too big a fan of it. And by the way, if we're missing anything out here, it's kind of just because we are skipping across the plot rather quickly because I wasn't overly fussed on this episode.
I don't think any of us were. I mean, The other volume Volume 2 was just so good that it kind of set the expectations really high for Volume 3.
I do feel like the Janus Key stuff and all that dragged on, so...
Yeah, well, it does that comic book thing where they have multiple story arcs across Escalation, and some of them you like and some of them you don't like. I guess they're writing for multiple things, multiple people.
Yeah.
Let's see, what happens after that? The Infinity starts to fight Jewel's ships. Some of Jewel's guys are fighting with each other. I think there's a mutiny on his ship at the time. Then Jewel eventually sends out Halsey with a Phantom to go and get the piece of the other half of the Janus Key. And then Palmer gets the chance to take out Halsey and the other piece of the Janus Key, but fucks up.
Yay.
Again.
Yeah, it's kind of the moral of the story. What happens is they find an elite that's acquired the piece of the Janus Key during the fight, and he's waiting for Halsey to come and collect it, and rather than take out the elite, acquire the key safely and then wait and try and take out Halsey or capture her, she waits for Halsey to get her boots on the ground in the hopes that she can do a twofer.
And Halsey shows up with like tanks and fucking everything.
Yeah, she rolls up with everything, and eventually Palmer ends up alone with Halsey and having like a bit of a rant and a bitch session with her.
Yeah.
Just venting. She just vents.
Yeah, and you think she's going to shoot her the whole time, and then at the last minute, conveniently, Halsey escapes when what did they call them in Halo 4? The like mining scarab thing.
Yeah.
The harvester?
The harvester, one of those shows up and sort of like blows the cliff up that Palmer's on. Halsey escapes, and then Palmer has this weird like calm redemption moment at the end where suddenly she's at peace with herself.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Palmer sucks.
Like I said, I know we kind of blew through this a little bit quickly, but
you're not missing a whole lot. We're hitting on the main points of the story.
I think this was 4 issues that could have been boiled down to one and just feels stretched out for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Like, it was an awful lot of nothing to go through to get the Janus Key from Infinity to Halsey, and I feel like everything in the middle really didn't amount to much of anything.
I mean, at the end of the thing, Halsey now has 2 of the pieces, but you don't find out what they really lead to. You don't find out any real significance. It's just like these 2 women fighting over 2 pieces of jewelry. Basically.
I never thought of it like that, but you're kind of right.
And then Halsey has both of them, and it doesn't explain... It doesn't add to the story of Halo, really. It just kind of is there.
The only thing it kind of does is it tries to take Palmer on a little arc from being like pissed off and self-destructive to at peace with herself, but I don't really figure how she got there, because in the mood she's in when she starts this arc off, when she got Halsey alone, she should have just like power punched her through her chest and tore her heart out. That's probably what should have happened.
But you can't kill off Halsey, so I mean, I guess the writers were kind of in a hole there. You can't do much.
But then why bother? Why take her down that way?
I don't know why we need to know more about
I assume
Palmer, really.
they were just trying to get her there because in Halo 5 they were all going to work together, and it would be a bit weird if when they got Halsey back to the Infinity in Halo 5, if she just executed her on the deck.
Well, yeah, I suppose they needed to resolve that kind of issues to clear the way for Halo 5.
Sarah Palmer always seems to have issues with everything she does. I mean, it's not weird for her to be keeping a grudge or anything, so it's kind of just the whole, like, why is it even there kind of thing.
Yeah, just to show, like, the different kind of opinions people have towards Halsey, even as she's doing her own thing. I mean,
but that's what the Glassland series was for.
And this is very much picking up on the same vein as that, where Halsey goes through the same process of being recaptured, interrogated, potentially executed, but then, oh no, can't execute you because we still need you, as per usual. So, I mean, it's okay. It's fine. I mean, how does the Janus Key Part 4 kind of end up? What's kind of how does that tie up?
Oh, well, we can't spoil that because we haven't done that book club yet, and people will be pausing this episode right now.
Janus
I
Key
haven't
Part
read
4
that part either.
is issue 16, so it's the last
you
issue
mean the actual
within that
end
arc.
part of this?
Yeah.
It finishes up with Halsey has the key and escapes. That's the end of it.
That's it. I mean,
it?
she just
Okay.
has both pieces. And
The
that doesn't
Harvester
explain
blows
anything.
up the cliff and Palmer loses Halsey. Halsey escapes on a Phantom, and then it finishes with like an interrogation scene. Well, it's not really an interrogation between Palmer and Lasky.
Like a briefing, yeah.
Palmer looks sort of downtrodden and chilled, and she's explaining to Lasky what happened.
So she knows
She's sort of like, where does it say it here? It says, when I heard Halsey was on the ground, I had to take a shot at her. It was a gamble, but I still believed it was the right call. She just explains how she fucked up and lost the Janus Key because she took a moment to like just go for Halsey at all
learned
costs.
anything.
Yeah,
well.
It's like all this stuff happened and we learned nothing. Yay! No lessons learned.
But even Palmer doesn't change. She still believes she was right and still believes it wants to kill. But even, like, it's obviously not going to happen. That's not how Halsey goes down.
No. I hope Halsey never goes down, but I think she eventually will. I mean,
Eventually, yeah.
the
but
whole
I
world
hope not.
hates her, basically, except Master Chief. So, I mean, she does have that going for her.
I think it offers a very, and she's got to be key to taking on the created. Like, her insight and her mind has got to be like absolutely the focus of how they fight,
Yeah,
how they rebel, or what happens next. So, I'm excited to see that part of it. But overall, like, this arc, I didn't
These
really
four
care.
issues, I think at the time, back when we were getting them as single issues, I think you and B already said this, David, like it was just a bit underwhelming, these issues in particular, because you just went from week to week and nothing happens.
Yeah, it's like, as you said, they're just tying up that kind of, these unresolved issues to clear the way for Halo 5. To, like, what is the Janus Key?
I feel like those 4 issues could have been boiled down to one of the cutscenes at the start of a Spartan Ops episode.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's about as much story in there as that. Like, the artwork's nice. There are a few nice touches. Like, I think Glassman as a character's actually come a long way. He's sort of likable now. He's not this snivelling
Egghead.
you can sort of be like, in the beginning, like when you see him in Spartan Ops, you're like, how the hell is he the second smartest person next to Halsey? The guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
And then by the end of this, he seems like a smart enough kind of guy, but
He seems okay.
he doesn't seem too bad. He seems likable. That's kind of it. There's not much else. I know I'm being kind of down on it, but when I bought these issues, I didn't feel like I got my money's worth out of them.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, the way it does is one thing that I like about it is that it does show the fracturing of Jules' power base and how he's weakened. So, I mean, when he, spoiler, gets pretty much killed in the first cutscene of Halo 5, it's less of an impact because he was like a massive character for such a long time, and it just shows him gradually, obviously, becoming a way weaker force. And ultimately just not being important because he did just kill him off at the beginning of Halo 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
These issues just set up that cutscene, I suppose, where Halsey is rescued by Blue Team.
yeah, they do kind
Or
of keep
Blue Team,
ticking along
Osiris.
because like this, and there's a couple of other occasions where slowly but surely Jules losing. What is it? I just repeated that first mission this morning. Halsey has a great line in Halo 5 when she's talking. She's like, "Well, hand, it looks like your fingers are in open rebellion," and that's probably one of the wittiest lines that Halsey has in that game, which is a little sad.
Yeah.
She's usually a little more sarky and on top of things. But enough about this first arc, because like I said, this wasn't, out of the two of them, that was my least favourite. I think out of most of the arcs in Escalation, that one's probably down there next to Thorn's trip home to play the violin.
Yeah, I didn't like any of that Crimson stuff either. I mean, well, when it comes down to it, I'm always going to be biased, like, against Palmer. So that's generally, those kind of issues are focused around
you
her.
see,
I never
that's
really
the other
liked that
thing.
much.
I like Palmer, but I really think these issues did absolutely nothing for her as a character. If anything, they make me like her a little less, which is weird because I actually do enjoy her.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to get down on Jennifer Hale because she's amazing, but the character of Palmer is just...
Well, like we've always said, like I like Halsey, or not Halsey, I like Palmer. I liked her in Spartan Ops. I liked her in Halo 4. I don't think these comics, especially this arc, really does anything for her because the thing they seem to keep coming back to is she just does stupid things sometimes.
She's rash and impulsive.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with, like, that's the sentiment that, like, Halsey would have towards these people, these Spartan 4s not being worthy of Spartans. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't really give them a chance.
Yeah, she sort of mentions that a couple of times. I think she has like a whole little speech about it in Spartan Ops.
Pretty much like a disregard.
Yeah, she's like,
towards
some
those.
of you are closer to Spartans than others, but most of you don't make the grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just my Spartans are the best Spartans.
But anyway, we're going to move on from that and we're going to go to two issues I actually quite liked in this.
Yeah, me
and
too.
That's 17 and 18, The Glass Horizon. And these are the origin story for Tanaka. They had something for every member of Blue Team and Osiris back in the run up to Halo 5, if you remember.
And what I liked as well is that they used a different medium for each one. So they spread it out across, like, the Halo universe. So, like, Buck got a book by Matt Forbeck.
Quite a
First
few
Blood,
of them
and
got
then,
a book, but
yeah, well, Hunters in the Dark was Vale. You had Tanaka here, and then you had the Nightfall for Locke.
Blue Team and Last Light.
Yeah.
Wait, we don't mention Nightfall. Shh.
Yeah, well, okay.
I know, it
It
happened.
doesn't exist. We try to pretend it doesn't.
Every
I
time
like
I'm up
it.
in Belfast and I drive past the Titanic Museum, I look at it and I think, Locke was there. That
And you
was
could
a-
have fixed it. You didn't, Aaron. You didn't.
I also actually realised randomly while driving past there that not long before it was filming, my dad used to be a carpenter and he did work up there. And I was like, my dad worked on Sarah.
Did he?
It was Sarah, wasn't it?
I think so. That was
No,
the planet,
Cedra.
Yeah.
Cedra.
Cedra, yeah. Sorry, Cedrans.
He worked in the apartments up there. When you, in the first episode of Nightfall, when they have like that outdoor market scene where they're running through the streets, it's actually like an open park space between big apartment blocks that they built down there.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
You can walk through it and sort of look around and then walk over to the front of the Titanic Museum
Oh, that's cool.
where they show those couple of scenes. But yep, there's my small claim to Halo fame.
Yay.
You're so Halo famous.
But like I said anyway, these are Tanaka's origin story.
Yeah.
And it's a much better little arc. It's self-contained. It doesn't explain everything about her, but a lot of her motivations and sort of where she come from as a person. So she was a mining engineer on the planet of... Hang on, I have the name here because I kept it. Minab.
Minab.
And she was working in a mine with her father when the Covenant attacked the planet. So her and several other engineers were some of the only survivors on the planet. Everyone else was glassed, including her mother at the time, who was back home in her city. And then we join... the issues start off with the attack, and then it cuts to a scene in the future where some ODSTs are on the bridge of a UNSC
I thought that's
ship.
how it started. Did it not start with that story? Or she comes up, they're talking about a planet being glassed and there being survivors, and she shows up and goes, there might be survivors.
Well,
and kind of then it goes into
kind
her
of
story.
starts with I think it's like an inner monologue from Tanaka describing how the glassing went. It's these Marines talking about how they've picked up a distress signal on this planet, but
Oh right, yeah, okay.
they think there couldn't be anyone alive, and then their commanding officer appears and says, well, we have an expert on board who's going to go and have a look because she knows better. And they reveal that it's Tanaka, and she's working with the engineers corps at the time.
She is, yeah.
So she explains to them that people could survive there for quite some time, and then slowly retells her story of how herself and her dad and these other few survivors survived for several years.
But 2 or 3 years, I think, a while, like, yeah.
They survive in the mines on the planet, foraging for supplies when they can, hunting for stuff. And then one day they come across a man, they find him outside in the frozen tundra.
I think it's the other way around, isn't it? He just went crazy, so they kind of kicked him out or something? Or did they find him out there and brought him back and he was crazy?
Everyone's crazy.
I can't remember what it was. I thought he was one of them. And that eventually, like, they let him go as opposed to, like, kill him. And then he gets picked up by jackals and stuff like that. Am I skipping ahead, thinking that right? They escape / let him go. Turns out that her father let him go.
Oh, yeah, and then he kills someone.
So, yeah, he snaps and escapes, and he runs up onto the planet's surface, and there he lets a couple of jackals know where he is. I love that most of his lines, when you see them in the comic, are just her.
Yeah.
Like, he just grunts incoherently, her, but yet he was able to tell the jackals. So the jackals lead an assault on the mines, and most of the people get taken out except for Tanaka and two guys that turned out to be, I believe, insurgents, aren't they?
They were, yeah.
Yeah, so they teach Tanaka basically guerrilla warfare, how to acquire enemies' weapons and use them against them, and they do this.
It's pretty cool how, like, effective they are. And, you know, like, I thought it was a really cool moment where it shows them, like, tricking jackals and, like, robbing all their gear and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was really cool. That cool moment where they ambushed them.
Yeah, and they get their weapons. I think they survive quite some time on the planet then before they're eventually rescued.
It doesn't say how, I don't think. It just says they were rescued or whatever. It just cuts away again to the present day of Tanaka down on the other planet.
Yes, where they're now looking around for survivors, and they end up in a cave system, and I think fall through the floor of the cave. Or no, they end up in some buildings that have survived in the middle of the glassland. It would remind you kind of similar to in Hunt the Truth. Ben discovers the UNSC facility where he finds the computer servers. He talks about how there's like one building left in the middle of the glass plains.
That's an obscure reference. I would have went with the Halo 5 level where it plays you on a glass planet.
True, but there's nothing on their original. Those are all things that they added in after the fact when they're doing the mining operation.
Okay, there's no like ruins that are like semi-glassed or anything.
I don't think so.
No.
Everything there's the mining ships. It was the closest thing I could think of, but they get in there, take out the jackals and that, and eventually rescue the survivors. The moral of the story is that people could survive.
Yeah, it's a really cool setting of like a post-apocalyptic, post-glass planet kind of
trying to survive
setting.
on it, kind of. Yeah. And then she ends up just getting enlisted into the Spartan program after everything.
Yeah, the commanding officer on her ship recommends her to the Spartan 4 programs after a performance on the ground, because even as an engineer she managed to protect the ODSTs that she went with and rescue the civilians. And like I said, it's probably would it be the shortest origin story anyone in Halo 5 had?
Yeah,
basically.
Much.
But still, like, even for 2 issues, I think they did a good job of it. And to be perfectly honest, I think there's better story in these 2 issues than the previous 4.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah,
like I said, it's not dragged out. It's just sort of to the point.
I felt kind of more invested with this one, though, because I knew this was a character coming in Halo 5 and I wanted to know more. And I found this kind of a really interesting setting. I kind of liked her. She was kind of really, as an engineer, you know, like not a soldier, or like, you know, I like that kind of element that Osiris is made up of like unique people. Okay, like Buck is like the soldier, Locke is the hunter or whatever, and like Vale is like the diplomat. I kind of like that, like linguistics kind of expert, and then Tanaka's like this engineer. I really like that kind of structure that they were building, and like listening to her story, and just when it has her like in the tunnels, and like she understands how the tunnels work and all that kind of stuff and what to look out for.
With the Spartan 4s, they're not like the Spartan 2s where everyone's just a soldier. They bring something different to the game, which is kind of refreshing.
Which is probably, in my opinion, the only kind of redeeming part of Spartan 4s.
Yeah.
That they have that element to them, that they can specialize in something different. I know they're big in like saying that like these are the heroes that have been made as opposed to being heroes being born. That's what the Spartan 2s were. These are like kind of the best of the best of humanity just being elevated up. Like, that's cool enough, but I do like that they're bringing like a specific skill set or like something unique.
It makes them more diverse than the original Spartans. They're not just like the same person over and over again, which isn't technically a bad thing. I mean, even though the Spartan 2s were very similar, they all had different skills, but they're all different combat skills, not different like knowledge skills.
Yeah.
Although then again, the 2s are just sort of good at everything.
Yeah.
Like they do make up for it by being just experts at everything. It's like, oh, you need to pilot a starship, we can do that. You need to pilot a dropship, I can do that. You need to set a nuke, I can do that.
Also, to be fair, the Spartan 2s did have
AIs with them.
That basically did some of the stuff for them.
Well, sometimes.
And you imagine they had like the Matrix moment of just downloading skills and abilities into them to make them be able to do shit. It's like, I can totally do that.
Right, overall, what do we think? This volume, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do we think of Volume 3?
Pretty art, okay story.
Art's always good. Didn't care for the first 4 issues, but did like Last Horizon, so let's go 6 out of 10. If you want a number.
I would probably lean in around a 6. Like, I don't know if it's my weakest volume out of the 4.
But between this and the first one, I don't think I was too impressed with the first issue. With the first...
I'll be honest, I didn't mind the first one as much as I think Volume 4 has a few more issues. It's another one where issues drag on and on. I think that's my single biggest criticism about Escalation.
Just the story's dragging.
I know it's a comic, and then again, I'm not really a big comics guy, so I know a lot of arcs go on in comics for many, many issues and things like that, but I'm used to the pace of the books where things are kept kind of tight, especially getting these at the time, issue by issue. When you finish an issue and you're no further along in the story, really, it just
makes them kind of underwhelming overall.
Underwhelming's probably the way I'd describe it. Like, not to be too harsh on them, like we said, there are redeeming things.
As a whole, I did like Escalations, and just this volume has good parts to it.
I think after finishing it, if they do more comics in the future, I'll probably just wait for the volumes instead of going issue by issue again.
I will, but it will depend on what the content. Like, if it's the characters I love, I'll get them week to week. But if it's more Crimson, if it's more Palmer, I'll wait. Do you know what I mean?
I personally just think I'll get more enjoyment out of them if I can just binge on them quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be quite as...
I find comics like that in general, though. They're generally more satisfying when you can binge on them and get the whole story together as opposed to piecemeal over months, one little bit at a time.
True. So I suppose that'll... that kind of covers us.
That'll do, pig.
That'll do.
I suppose before we go, anything in particular in these issues anyone liked? Any nice touches or things?
Well, I've said like the cool moment of like Tanaka ambushing and doing the cold guerrilla warfare part. I really like that.
Yeah,
it's kind of the comic book version of a montage.
Yeah, pretty much of it, like her learning skills and abilities. Like a guerrilla warfare montage. You don't see that every day.
No,
Insert Team America, we're going to need a montage here.
America.
Gonna need a montage.
Montage.
Yes, everybody needs a montage.
Need a montage.
Team America, 10 out of 10.
Right, well, I don't think I have anything else really to say. The Infinity didn't get blown up this time, but it did hit an asteroid.
It's always got to be something, doesn't it?
So, continuing the trend of things that go wrong, I think Pelican or two get knocked about and one of them explodes.
Well, Pelicans definitely crash. It's definitely crash.
No one cares about Pelicans.
This one wasn't even flying and it crashed. Like, that's the sad part. This one crashed and exploded while it was on the deck.
It's just like...
which is really unfortunate. Right, well, I suppose that'll do us then. The next book club, if you're listening to this in the order they come out, the next book club you're going to get is Halo: The Fall of Reach animated series, And then the one after that, because this should be a triple bill, is the Primordium Book Club.
That'll be an
Yay.
interesting one.
It is. There's going to be a lot to say about that.
Get your shit together, Oren.
And it's mostly probably going to be us being very confused with each other.
Yeah, but it's gonna be fun. We'll work it out. We'll figure out all the mysteries.
As a team.
There's more research needed. More
Go team.
research.
Alright, well then that'll do us. If you have any thoughts or feelings about these issues, if you like them more than me and you think I'm being a little unfair or we're being a little unfair, give us a shout on Twitter over at Podcast Evolved, or you can always drop us an email at podcastevolved@gmail.com.
Or you could yell at us at the Facebook group.
You could do that, yes. Search
And
for
have
groups
the whole
slash...
community gang up on us.
What's our new URL? Group slash Podcast Evolved.
Facebook.com/group/Podcast Evolved.
And you can join us there and have more discussions and debates, including some interesting threads at the minute about the Forerunners.
Yes, lots of fun.
Yes,
and
I need
game
to polish
nights.
up on Silentium and talk about that. And Oren has game nights, yes.
So we got a little bit of everything.
We
So
do.
go there. Go do stuff.
Okay. And that'll do us until the next book club. Evolved.
Evolved.